Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Hi, my name is Erin, and today we're going to be finishing off my three-part series here that I'm doing with The Nightmare on Elm Street. So today we're going to be doing a ranking of the entire franchise, each movie from the franchise, as well as I'm including the remake and Freddy vs. Jason, because it does have Freddy Krueger in it and some lore from the franchise, so I'm going to be including that. And this is to top off my review of these two palettes from Peachy Queen called Sweet Dreams and Wicked Sister Cosmetics that is called In Your Dreams. So I actually did this look using both palettes today. I used the shades from this palette. I used the shade Elm, and I used the shade I think that's it. No, I used a little bit of the shade Slash from this palette. So mostly just use the green though. Elm from this palette because I really wanted to do some green. And then from the other palette I used this shade Coffee, and then I used the shade Sweater here, this green shade, and what else did I use? That was it. No, I think I used, okay, a little bit of this, what I used a little bit of this gold shade in here called Still Claws. So I used the combo of both palettes. Both palettes are really nice. The mattes are nice in both. The shimmers are nothing super spectacular in either palette, but they're pretty nice shimmers. There's nothing wrong with them. I do like a super glittery shimmer. Both palettes do have pressed glitters, which I didn't use either in any of my three looks that I've done with these palettes. I just don't really love pressed glitters. They kind of scare me, and every time I've used a pressed glitter, I've always had a feeling it's going to get in my eye. I'm going to be that person that it gets in their eye and something bad happens. So I don't really enjoy the pressed glitters in either of these, but I would recommend both of the palettes for the other shades. If there's like a couple pressed glitters, like might use pressed glitters occasionally, very rarely, but so it's not a complete loss for me. So if you do like pressed glitters, this palette might be really nice for you, this one or this one. If you don't, I still say these palettes are really cool, especially if you're a Nightmare on Elm Street fan. They're just very cool, and they're very well done. And besides those glitters, the shimmers and the mattes are nice in both palettes. If I had to recommend one palette over the other, I would say for different situations, both of the designs of them are really nice. If you like smaller palettes, obviously go for this one. This one's a bit longer. They both have this one has a 24-month lifespan and this one has a 12, but they're both cruelty free, so that's something that you don't have to worry about if you are cruelty free. I would say if you like more colorful looks, go for this one because it has the reds and the greens, as well as some like pinky tones and golds, and it's got the red and green glitters. But if you like more neutral or somewhat colorful looks that you can probably get away with more every day, I would say go for the Wicked Sister cosmetic palette, In Your Dreams, because it has more neutrals in here than the other one. So just depends on all what you like. Both of the palettes have a mirror as well, which I really love. But yeah, they're both pretty sturdy, and they're both cardboard with magnetic closure. So both of these palettes I would recommend, both of them. Just depends on what you're looking for. But anyways, enough with the palettes as of right now. Like I said, I love both of them. Let's go ahead and get into the ranking of the entire franchise. Every movie, what do I think about the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, and what movies will be at my bottom and which ones will be at the top. So there are 9 that I have on my list here. Starting at number 9, we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. So starting at number 9, and hopefully I remember to pop up some pictures or video or something, is going to be A Nightmare on Elm Street, the 6th one, Freddy's Dead. So yeah, this one is called Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. Not my favorite. I think they just went way too silly at this point in the franchise. Freddy is like a complete joke. He's flying around on witches, is a wicked witch of the west or east or whatever. He's just doing a lot of silly stuff, and it's always had kind of a fun tone since the beginning, but at this point it's just became a joke, and I think it just was too silly. As well as the story, it was okay, but it kind of was like nothing spectacular, kind of the same. He's picking off the kids. I do like that they kind of tried to get more into his childhood, but again, you don't need to explain everything about a killer or the antagonist just for your audience. You know what I'm saying? You can leave a little bit of mystery. Although I think with Freddy's character, since he is not like a non-talking, like a silent killer like Michael or Jason, it's okay to go into his backstory a little bit. but I think they could have done it better. And then they introduced his daughter, which was okay as well for me, but I just think it wasn't done well, and the characters were not fleshed out really well, and they were very generic characters that were just based on like a few traits, and that was their whole personality. So for this one, it just doesn't do it for me. Freddy wasn't very scary. It was just a joke, kind of. So that's why Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, is at the bottom of the list here. All right, coming in at number 8 is going to be the remake, A Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake. I actually didn't hate this movie, but I also think that it was kind of just rehashing everything from the original and not doing it better. So that's why this one is coming in at number 8 for me. I think they could have really done something different and went completely, just don't do something completely off of the wall, but do something just a tad bit different and make it more their own thing. And I also think that them adding in that Freddy was molesting children and whatnot, you know, triggering, but it just didn't work. It was just too much. It could have just kept that he was a child killer, and that's scary enough. I think it just added a little bit too much to the movie. I didn't really enjoy that aspect of it, and I like the actor that's doing Freddy. I think he did a pretty good job with it. I don't think he did terrible. I did not like the look of Freddy though. I'm sorry. I just think the original look looks better. And I think that the characters in this were okay, but the main two characters look like they're about to fall asleep at any moment throughout this whole entire movie. I don't know what it is. They just look like they are, like, I mean, I guess that's what they're supposed to look like because they're sleep deprived, but they look bored. They look like they're, I don't know. I don't know. They just don't hit it for me. They're just not as effective. Even like Glenn from the original, like, he's just so much more personable. I don't know. Even though he has probably less screen time than Quentin in the remake, I like Glenn's character better. So, there we go. That's number 8. Number 7 is going to be Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, The Dream Child, I believe it's called. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. And it's, this one I had fun with it. It's okay. We're starting to get into that really silly territory. Again, like I said, it kind of became a joke at this point in the franchise. And Freddy's just doing a little bit too many one-liners and jokes and whatnot. But I do think there were some really good gothic moments in here, some dark scenes, and filmmaking was really done fairly well. I like the return of Alice. The baby aspect was a little strange, but it's original, so I won't knock it for that. And overall, I didn't think this one was terrible, but it wasn't great either. Like, they made quite a few mistakes here. But overall, if it's kind of into where they were at this point in the franchise. So that's why number 5 is going to be at 7th place for me. Alright, number 6 is going to be Freddy vs. Jason. I really do like this movie. I think it could have been done, again, better. And I feel like as far as a Freddy movie, he did get a lot more, like, talking, of course, obviously. And he does get quite a few screen time, but he barely gets any kills in here. And most of the kills are done by Jason. He's racking up a huge body count. And I think Freddy gets, like, 1 kill in this. So, for me, this is not the best for as far as Freddy's getting his moment. Even though the fight was really awesome, that build up to that, I thought it was pretty cool. And it's not boring. It's exciting. It's interesting to watch, even though obviously the film has a lot of mistakes for both the franchise of Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. But overall, I enjoyed this movie. And even though there could have been some better acting here or there and more developed plot and that made more sense, overall, you have fun with this movie. I don't think this is something you should think too hard about. It's 2 big killers and 2 big franchises coming together to fight. So don't take it too seriously. Just have fun with it, which is what I did. And I do like this one. So that's why it's number 6 for me. Coming in at number 5 is going to be A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4. This one I actually really enjoy as well. I do like this one. I think there's some pretty interesting kills in this one and some great sequences. We have Alice in this one as our main character, and we had Kristen and Kincaid and Joey return, but they are kind of immediately killed off, which was kind of sad because I really did enjoy those 3 characters, and I like that they kind of made it to the next movie, but unfortunately they're immediately killed off. But I do like that we get to see a new character, Alice, and she's a pretty strong character for me. She ranks number 4 in my ranking of all the final characters. If you guys haven't seen that video, I will try to link it up in the or down in the description box. I ranked all of the final characters, and Alice ranks pretty high for me. Spoiler. But I like her character overall. That she has, like, she starts off kind of weak, but she grows. The other characters in this movie are pretty one note, like they're pretty one note. Like, the one thing that they like is their whole personality. So for me, the character development is kind of non-existent in this movie. But yeah, so the characters are not very strong. Freddy's, I mean, he's being Freddy. He's pretty funny in this one. Again, this is where they started to get a little more silly, overly silly. Like, part 3 had the perfect amount of funny comedy and horror type of elements, but he was still really scary. Part 4, he still got that scariness, but he's starting to get a little bit overly silly. So this is where they kind of started to go off the track with it, but I still think part 4 is very enjoyable. One of my favorite sequences in the franchise actually is in part 4, where they're like in a loop and they keep repeating the same thing. I thought that was very brilliant to add, because that is something that can happen in your dream, like that deja vu moment. That's perfect to add into a movie about a killer that's killing people in your dream. So for me, this one works pretty well. So that's number 5. All right, my top 4, pretty much my most favorite, I would say. Although I do really like I said, I do like most of these. Probably like only the bottom 2 I don't watch very often at all. Freddy's Dead or the remake, I don't watch those often at all. But the other, like 7 Up, I watch these pretty often. So number 4 is going to be New Nightmare for me. I really do enjoy New Nightmare. I think it's really smart. I think the way that they introduce something completely new to the franchise and has this totally meta theme to it, where Freddy is coming into the real world, or this demon that's taken on the form of Freddy. Brilliant. I think it's very smart. I love meta elements to a movie. I took a whole course in college on meta books and film and all kind of stuff, and I really do enjoy this one. I think bringing back Heather Langenkamp, I hope I'm saying her name right, was brilliant. I think that the kills are pretty good. They call back to they do a lot of kind of like fan service and call back to other deaths, but they make them kind of their own, which I do enjoy. And I like how it switches up on us, where it's like she's going back into the movie at the end. I think that's brilliant. I think this movie is pretty solid. I really do like it. I think it's great. Alright, let's move on to number 3. Number 3 for me is going to be Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. I actually like this movie. I grew up with this movie a lot, though. Like, we always watched A Nightmare on Elm Street and then Part 2. Like, that was always our back-to-back. We never really ventured beyond that, although I started getting into it more as I got older. But Part 2 was always something I grew up with, and I always enjoyed it. I think it's a pretty solid movie. I like Jesse as our main final boy here. I think that he's a great character, and I think his friends are pretty good in as far as developed characters as well. We don't get as many great kills in this one, I don't think, in my opinion, although the part where he comes out of Jesse's chest was amazingly great and well done. I think Freddy looks pretty cool in this one as well. And I think even though they kind of threw all of the rules from the first movie out the window and with Freddy coming into the real world, I just like the movie. I think the movie is solid. I think it's pretty good, even with the quite strong homoerotic overtones to the movie. The movie's a good movie. That's my opinion. Yeah, I like it. And the ending was okay as well. I think the ending was fine as well. I would like to see Jesse return to the series. I mean, why not? What happened after? Alright, and Lisa as well. Number 2 is for me is going to be A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. This one I really, really love. I watched this one probably the most after my number 1, which you guys can probably already tell what it is, obviously. But Part 3 is really good. I love how they introduce all of these other characters, all of these teenagers that are going through something really hard. Great kills in this one. Great addition of the dream powers and abilities added into this, and starting to really play into that we can go in a dream and do some really fun stuff, which they get into more into the series. But here, I really think they nailed it. They got the funniness. I mean, welcome to prime time. One of my all-time favorite lines. Hilarious. Pretty funny. And a great kill as well. I mean, this one is just really, really good. I think Freddy is scary, but also he has some great one-liners. I think adding back in Nancy to this was a perfect addition, and the way they sent her off from the franchise, I think, was done as well. It wasn't like just kill her off at the beginning of the movie and barely give her any screen time, or she's not significant anymore, which we see happen to characters that return to horror slasher films a lot. They just killed off in like the first 10 minutes with no honor, no like recognition that this was a major character. They don't do that here, which I appreciate. The addition of adding back in Nancy's father as well, I liked it as well. Even the, Freddy's mother coming back as a nun, ghost helping out Dr. Neil, it works. It works here. Everything adds up to make a really great movie. Kristen is a great addition. Kincaid and Joey, like I said, those are two of my favorite side characters. I think the movie is really well done, you guys. So that's why part 3 is number 2 for me. It's really good. And then number 1 is going to be the original Nightmare on Elm Street. It's a classic. I mean, what else can I say about this? It's a classic. It started off something different, and it just didn't come and do the same thing that everybody else was doing. It started something new. Wes Craven came in with a bang with this movie, and I think that it's just really well done. It's scary. It's got some great kills. Like, some of the most creative kills were from this movie. It really plays with you. It's got very scary moments. It's got some great lines as well. Screw Your Hall Pass is one of me and my sister's favorites. And the way it's delivered by Heather is hilarious. I mean, it's funny in an unintentional way, but it's just great. I think everything about this movie was really well done. Acted well. Freddy is at his scariest, I think, in the first one. And we just get some really iconic moments from this that have been copied and tried to be done in other movies since then. I think also the concept of it is very scary as well. A killer that is coming after you in your dreams, that you can't really prove that there's a serial killer in your dreams, a burned up serial killer with finger knives, or is in your dreams going to kill you. Like, no one's going to believe you. So it's even scarier with that concept, and that the thought that you're on your own pretty much. You got to figure out a way to save yourself. So I really do like the first one. I think it's really great. And also for the third one, I like that they brought in that you can bring someone in your dreams with Kristen's power. I think that's a really great addition for the third one that the first one didn't have, but it made it even scarier for the first one because you're basically by yourself, really. I mean, were they able to get into each other's dreams? Not really. I mean, we see Glenn trying to help out Nancy, but I don't know if he was actually in her dream. You know what I'm saying? But like with the third one, they were able to get into each other's dreams and help each other out. But anyways, first one is my favorite of all time. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, period. I just love it. I love it. So that's pretty much it for this video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you have a different order or a different way you would rank these movies, definitely let me know down in the comment section below. I would love to hear your ranking on these movies or your thoughts on which movie would be your number 1. Do you agree with my list, or would you have something completely different? But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys are safe. I hope you enjoyed this 3-part little series of makeup and horror movies with one of my favorite franchises of all time. But I will check you guys out in the next video, which will be very soon. Hope you guys are doing good. Bye-bye for now. Adios.